your reaction first again to that inflation print, 7.7%, January to October, 5.4%. Is this the peak? I mean, we have the PSA now projecting the probability that might actually get past that level by November. But your point of view here, how long will we see an extension of this pace?
Yeah, well, as you have heard the report, basically the reason for the faster inflation is really coming from food. And we really have not yet felt the full impact, for example, of this recent typhoon, and then the continuing food supply problems all over the world. I mean, so that really tells us that this is not yet the peak. It could be higher this November, in December, or even January. So you are looking at additional impacts beyond the base effects of already, because last year was low, so you expect a little base effect of higher now, then plus the actual impact that we're experiencing.
Okay. Now, sir, can you nuance that a little bit? Because it seems that the oil prices, to a certain extent, have stabilized. You know, it's not as much as high as it used to be, above 100. Exactly. There have been rollbacks naman. There have also been, the help, the ayuda of the government in terms of the transport fares. But there's still the peso weakness, although it has not breached 60 to the greenback. Give us an idea of why this print continues to be increasing, especially year on year, despite all of these efforts, the BSP aggressively tightening here, the rollbacks in the fuel. And of course, you said that the Typhoon Paeng, it hasn't actually been reflected yet.
Well, primarily the efforts that we have been hearing right now, or in the past few weeks and months, have all mostly been monetary side. But we know that inflation in the Philippines is primarily a supply side challenge. So you have to make sure that supply is available, and this is the reason why prices are rising. Even basic food items like vegetables are rising. And also we have problems created by animal diseases like the ASF for pork and hogs, and even chicken, bird flu. So this is not a unique Philippine condition anyway. So it's a regional thing, and so this is also like contributing to the tightness, or the tightness in supply is adding to the price pressures, and so that's why you are reflecting high inflation.
Okay, and this time around, you now have at least the BSP giving, in fact, a guidance way in advance here. In 2 weeks' time, they are expected to hike rates by 75 basis points. Would that be enough to actually arrest future inflation expectations? And how long before we actually see that feeding into price stability?
Inflation expectation here from the BSP side is basically monetary. But as I said, the reason for inflation rising is its supply. So it is a combination of executive action with monetary policy to be able to stabilize it. But as we are seeing it, the BSP is already has already telegraphed to us that it will follow whatever the Fed is going to do. With inflation not yet reaching peak in the US, probably we are going to see more rate hikes. Even as the US still struggles with inflation, and other countries in the world too, like particularly UK has in fact reflected a very high food inflation as well. So this is a worldwide challenge, and on the executive side, you really need to make sure that you may import, but then you have to make sure that the import is available as well. So it is like a challenge that you're going to see in the next 2-3 months in the short term, and it could prolong. If there are a very limited supply of food all over the world, and even if our own local production has been affected by typhoons and also other challenges affecting our agricultural sector.
Sir, can you clarify that for our viewers here? Is this food shortage, supply shortage, still directly linked to the Russia-Ukraine war? Because commodity prices have been paring back. They're even back to pre-war levels. So why are we still having this issue of heightened food prices?
Well, It's because we import many of these food items. It's not that we are the only ones importing. And also, even if the food prices generally stabilize in the world, the grains, it is fertilizer that what is really adding to the problems of agricultural farms all over the world, particularly here in Southeast Asia, which has fertilizer has stabilized a bit, but still 4 times higher than its actual prices prior to post the first year of the pandemic.
Okay, sir, let's talk about what you mentioned, which is the rate hike. No, they have mentioned they will be matching the Fed point by point. They're going to maintain this 100 bips spread. But given the global situation and also the fact that with too much rate hikes, especially in the U.S., they're looking at a recession here. To what extent can we keep catching up with these increasing in rate hikes without affecting, of course, the consumers' pockets, our ability to borrow and grow?
Well, that's a challenging question in the sense that you are really forced by situation to follow the rate increase in the U.S. Otherwise, you risk the currency further weakening and also adding back to inflation, because importing items, particularly food and oil, will be higher price in that sense. So this is where the BSP is working on the monetary side on this matter. But looking on the supply side, that's why I said it has to be a two-pronged approach. It cannot be just the monetary policy working. It also has to work on the supply side by ensuring that adequate supply is available, so that you don't have higher price expectations that higher expectation could lead to higher inflation in the medium and the long term.